Madam Deputy Speaker. And can I begin by congratulating the Chancellor and the Treasury team for delivering on a budget that does indeed tackle cost of living pressures, that takes steps to continue our economic recovery and ultimately places our constituents at the heart of government priorities. Because we should be under no illusion that high inflation spurred on by the illegal invasion of Ukraine and the economic fallout as a result of the pandemic is indeed the single greatest threat to prosperity in the UK right now. And in Carshalton and Wallington, I have constituents coming to me sharing some of their stories, including parents, particularly women, foregoing employment because childcare is unaffordable, elderly people worried about energy prices, and business struggling because their customers are tightening their belts, and pretty much everyone in between. High inflation does indeed spare nobody, which is why I am pleased that the OBR forecast states that we will more than meet the government's pledge to halve inflation this year, and indeed this budget also builds on the work that the government has also already undertaken to cut inflation and takes decisive action to support people who are currently impacted by inflation. And I want to touch on a few key measures in the short time I have, particularly the introduction of 30 hours of free childcare per week for children from 9 months to 4 years. And I do want to pay tribute to my honourable friend, the member for Stroud, and her doughty campaigning in this incredibly important space. I cannot begin to tell the House the number of young parents, again, particularly women, who have met with me about the costs of childcare. And I am grateful that the Minister for Social Mobility, Youth and Progression came to my constituency to visit Bright Horizons Nursery and Preschool just last week, where we discussed some of these priorities. But not only this, these measures are also good for the wider economy in terms of new parents to be able to return to work, and good for their personal budgets. But for many young mothers I have met, this will give them an important part of their lives back, an opportunity for independence and professional aspiration. But I'm also glad at the other measures that the government has taken as part of this budget to support all people facing pressures with the cost of living, particularly the extension of the energy price cap, and indeed ending the premium paid by over 4 million households using prepayment meters, ensuring that the bill becomes fairer, ensuring that people paying energy bills becomes fairer across the board. Of course, there is always more work to be done, and one such thing I would like the government to spend more time looking into is the impact of those people whose homes are heated by district energy networks, such as those living in New Mill Quarter in Hackbridge, where it's not entirely clear what the energy bills discount scheme means for them. And indeed, that extends to local businesses as well, and I'd like to thank my right honourable friend, the member for Chelsea and Fulham, for coming to visit businesses, particularly village bakers in Carshalton last week, to discuss energy bills for businesses. There are many other measures I'd like to mention, but that time prevents me from doing so, including pensions and indeed the frozen fuel duty. But I would just like to wrap up, Madam Deputy Speaker, by highlighting one major advancement, particularly in healthcare, which I welcome. Not only the move on pensions, which I know as chair of the APPG for cancer, much of the cancer workforce was leaving because of this issue, and I'm grateful for it. And indeed, I never forego an opportunity to mention the upgrade to St Helier Hospital in the London Borough of Sutton. And I'm grateful to the government for reaffirming these pledges, and I do absolutely commend the measures in this budget.